Allah is always aware of you, alhamdulillah, you did your job. Everything's great. But oftentimes you hear the answer. People saying, what is Ramadan all about? Why are we fasting? You might find people saying, well, it's just to feel how the unfortunate feel. It's to feel how those who are hungry feel. Well, that's a side benefit, but not necessarily the top thing. So that's one mistake, right, that we fall into, not knowing what Ramadan is actually about. In addition to that, another mistake that a lot of folks make, and again, I'm including myself in this conversation, it's not treating Ramadan as something special. Not treating Ramadan like it's an occasion worthy to be celebrated. It's just another Tuesday for some. It's just another day of the week. It's just another time. Now, subhanAllah, some people, I remember just before this halaqah, I was having a conversation with a brother, and he was telling me that there are some Muslims that he knows. May Allah help us all. Again, we don't cast judgment. We call them as we see them. One of the things that he said is that there are some Muslims that they really don't like Ramadan. Astaghfirullah. They don't like it. They say it's a chore. I can't wait for it to be over. I just let it to be over. I just wait for it to be over. This is the sentiment of some Muslims saying that I can't wait for Ramadan to be over. So it's a mistake. It's a mistake if we don't treat Ramadan as something special. It's the month of forgiveness. The doors of Jannah are wide open, and the doors of Jahannam are closed. Is this not worthy of being celebrated? Can anyone here, can anyone online, does anyone have a passport to Jannah? Does anyone have a golden ticket to Jannah? Stamped, signed, official, ready to go? Not me, not you, not anyone can claim that. So we got to take all the forgiveness we can get. So by not treating Ramadan as something special, this is another trap that we fall into. Now, moving forward in terms of the actual fast, I want to shift gears for a little bit. A common mistake in Ramadan is breaking your fast with samosas. Hear me out. Hear me out. Samosas, hey, look, I love them just as much as you do. No problem. I mean, subhanAllah, it is what it is. However, when you break your fast with a samosa, it's very oily. Your body's not used to it. Just picture it. For many hours, maybe for us here it's 16, 17 hours of fasting? I can't remember the actual time. Your body is in a state of dehydration. Your body is empty. And suddenly you try to fuel it with samosas. Not a good idea. You know where I learned this, subhanAllah, ironically, it was about 2 or 3 Ramadans ago. I'm going to give a shout out to a brother here in Sayyidah Khadija Center. His name is Brother Ruben. You know him. If you've heard of him, you know who Brother Ruben is. MashaAllah, him and his family. May Allah bless them. Now, Brother Ruben, he taught me this. Because, subhanAllah, sometimes you find a lot of families, they're breaking their fast with samosas. I looked at him, and I noticed that he doesn't eat any samosas. I asked him, I'm curious, hey, what's up with, you're against samosas? What's happening here? And he told me, he said, no, I don't eat samosas when I'm breaking my fast. It's too oily, and it's just irritating. Instead, how to fix this is, he says, I break my fast with fruit. With fruit. It's natural sweet. It's got the water built into it, subhanAllah. So instead of samosas, don't get me wrong, again, samosas are samosas. It's got its place, just not right after Ramadan. Instead, try using fruit to break your fast. Now, that leads me to another thing, and in terms of, while we're on the topic of breaking fast, here's another common trap that we might fall into during Ramadan, and it is not drinking enough water. Not drinking enough water. We're dehydrated. You don't need me to tell you that. SubhanAllah, you're talking and the thirst, you can't quench it. Your body is saying, I can't take it. But how many of us, even outside of Ramadan, right now, less than 2 weeks before Ramadan starts, inshallah, how many of us drink water regularly? SubhanAllah, just recently, about a week or two ago, I ran into a brother I know. SubhanAllah, he had kidney stones. Kidney stones. And if you aren't aware of what kidney stones are, the way he described them to me, he said, I wouldn't wish it upon my worst enemy. I wouldn't wish kidney stones on my worst enemy. He said the pain was just unbearable. He threw up, and it just was a terrible, traumatic experience. Why? Why is kidney stone such a problem? Well, one thing they pointed out is not enough water. Our kidneys, our poor kidneys, they're doing all the work. You got to give it water. Help your kidneys out. As soon as I heard this idea, man, I've been like guzzling gallons of water, subhanAllah, trying to do what I can to stay hydrated. So save yourself, save your kidneys, help them out with drinking more water. And in Ramadan, when you're breaking, and not while you're fast, when you're breaking your fast, try to replenish it. Stay hydrated. H2O. H2O. Now, I got one more here. I just want to be mindful. I think of Salat al-Isha. You want to hear one more before we break? Just real quick. You want to hear one more? Yeah, I see some hands. All right. Let's give one more, and then inshallah we'll break for Salat al-Isha. You're getting a little taste of this so far. No pun intended here with Ramadan. This next trap we might fall ourselves in is skipping suhoor. Some of us, mashallah, can think that we can power through the day. I don't need to wake up early to break or to have my suhoor. But, subhanAllah, at the end of the day, it's recommended from the Prophet ﷺ to have suhoor. So skipping suhoor is a mistake, and we'll dive more into this afterwards, inshallah. So it looks like, the Imam is ready. Bismillah. We'll start Salat al-Isha. I know this is a little teaser. Inshallah, we'll continue on the conversation, bi'idhnillah.
Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar. Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar. أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله. أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله. أشهد أن محمدًا رسول الله. أشهد أن محمدًا رسول الله. حي على الصلاة. حي على الصلاة. حي على الفلاح. حي على الفلاح. الله أكبر، الله أكبر. لا إله إلا الله. حق لا إله إلا الله.
Just a reminder for everyone here and online, don't go anywhere. We're going to be right back with the halaqah after Salat Isha.
الله أكبر الله أكبر أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله أشهد أن محمدا رسول الله حي على الصلاة حي على الفلاح قد قامت الصلاة قد قامت الصلاة الله أكبر لا إله إلا الله.
Please make sure your lines are straight, your shoulder to shoulder, and that your heels are on the line, and that your cell phones are off, please. الله أكبر. الحمد لله رب العالمين الرحمن الرحيم مالك يوم الدين إياك نعبد وإياك نستعين اهدنا الصراط المستقيم صراط الذين أنعمت عليهم غير المغضوب عليهم ولا الضالين. عبس وتولى أن جاءه الأعمى وما يدريك لعله يزكى أو يذكر فتنفعه الذكرى أما من استغنى فأنت له تصدى وما عليك ألا يزكى وأما من جاءك يسعى وهو يخشى فأنت عنه تلهى كلا إنها تذكرة فمن شاء ذكره في صحف مكرمة مرفوعة مطهرة بأيدي سفرة كرام بررة قتل الإنسان ما أكفره من أي شيء خلقه من نطفة خلقه فقدره ثم السبيل يسره ثم أماته فأقبره ثم إذا شاء أنشره كلا لما يقض ما أمره. الله أكبر. سمع الله لمن حمده. الله أكبر. الله أكبر. الله أكبر. الله أكبر. الحمد لله رب العالمين الرحمن الرحيم مالك يوم الدين إياك نعبد وإياك نستعين اهدنا الصراط المستقيم صراط الذين أنعمت عليهم غير المغضوب عليهم ولا الضالين.
الضالين. كلا لما يقض ما أمره فلينظر الإنسان إلى طعامه أنا صببنا الماء صبا ثم شققنا الأرض شقا فأنبتنا فيها حبا وعنبا وقضبا وزيتونا ونخلا وحدائق غلبا وفاكهة وأبا متاعا لكم ولأنعامكم. فإذا جاءت الصاخة يوم يفر المرء من أخيه وأمه وأبيه وصاحبته وبنيه لكل امرئ منهم يومئذ شأن يغنيه. وجوه يومئذ مسفرة ضاحكة مستبشرة ووجوه يومئذ عليها غبرة ترهقها قترة أولئك هم الكفرة الفجرة. الله أكبر. سمع الله لمن حمده. الله أكبر. الله أكبر. الله أكبر. الله أكبر. الله أكبر. الله أكبر. سمع الله لمن حمده. الله الله أكبر. الله أكبر. الله أكبر. الله أكبر. سمع الله لمن حمده. الله أكبر. الله أكبر. الله أكبر. الله أكبر.
السلام عليكم ورحمة الله. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله. لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له، له الملك وله الحمد وهو على كل شيء قدير. لا إله إلا أنت سبحانك إنا كنا من الظالمين. ربنا آتنا في الدنيا حسنة وفي الآخرة حسنة وقنا عذاب النار. ربنا ولا تحملنا ما لا طاقة لنا به، واعف عنا واغفر لنا وارحمنا، أنت مولانا فانصرنا على القوم الكافرين. رب اجعلني مقيم الصلاة ومن ذريتي، ربنا وتقبل دعاء. ربنا اغفر لي ولوالدي وللمؤمنين يوم يقوم الحساب. لا إله إلا الله، نستغفر الله، نسألك رضاك والجنة ونعوذ بك من سخطك والنار، يا عزيز يا غفار. رب أوزعني أن أشكر نعمتك التي أنعمت علي وعلى والدي، وأن أعمل صالحا ترضاه، وأدخلني برحمتك في عبادك الصالحين. اللهم بلغنا رمضان، اللهم بلغنا رمضان، اللهم بلغنا رمضان. اللهم صل على سيدنا محمد وعلى آل محمد كما صليت على إبراهيم وعلى آل إبراهيم إنك حميد مجيد. اللهم بارك على محمد وعلى آل محمد كما باركت على إبراهيم وعلى آل إبراهيم في العالمين إنك حميد مجيد. سبحان ربك رب العزة عما يصفون، وسلام على المرسلين، والحمد لله رب العالمين. Just a kind reminder for those praying sunnah to go on the side so the live stream can continue with the halaqah, inshallah. No, I think you just continue. Just go straight. Yeah, that's what I did last. I know it.
Yeah, ready? Okay, fine. Bismillah. All right, inshallah khair. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Welcome back, everyone. MashaAllah, for those of you tuning in online. Amazing having you here too. Inshallah khair. So, the whole conversation for today is about common mistakes in Ramadan and how to avoid them. You know, we started off by, just as a recap, we started off talking about how, congratulations, everyone. Congratulations, mashallah, you've all signed up for a marathon, and that marathon is called Ramadan. And so the first, just to maximize our time and training during Ramadan, the first mistake, these are common traps, and I'm including myself in this conversation. How can we avoid? So the first one is not knowing what Ramadan is really about. It's not just about starving our bodies. It's also about taqwa, gaining consciousness. Allah knows what you reveal and what you conceal. We also talked about how we don't want to treat Ramadan as a common mistake is Ramadan not as something special, just another Tuesday, another day at the office. We don't want that. Ramadan is the month of the Quran. It's the special month of forgiveness. We also talked about, as a side note as well, a common trap, people breaking their fast with samosas. Again, I got to stress and emphasize, nothing against samosas. It's just not the best choice of food for Ramadan. Why? Because it's oily. Instead, aim for fruit. We also talked about not drinking enough water. I mean, clearly, subhanAllah, as you're talking and going through life, your body's in a state of dehydration. And even now before Ramadan, do we really drink enough water? Do we really drink enough H2O? And I mentioned the story about the brother who had kidney stones. May Allah help us all. He said it's the worst pain. You wouldn't even want to wish it on your worst enemy. So may Allah help us all. How do you solve that? Gradually drink more water. And then we ended off right now talking about skipping suhoor. That's another potential mistake. MashaAllah, for a lot of youth, a lot of folks who are younger in age, they think they can power through it. This is one thing, right? It goes for anyone, but I find it common in the youth that they power through it. Oh, I can just get through the day without suhoor. But no, there is blessings in the suhoor. And we miss out on those blessings if we just skip it. So now let's move on to another common trap that we can avoid. And this one maybe is a little too close to home. And it goes a little something like this. It's all about a common trap is the same social media habits. The way you scroll on social media, the way that you use it. I'm personally, if you ask me, I'm not a big fan of shutting everything down. Some people might say it's beneficial in that way. Maybe there's an app that's really gotten a hold of you. Sure, I mean, if your best way is to quit it cold turkey, fine, if that's what's best. However, in my experience and what I've seen is that it actually intensifies the desire. As they say, the most desired fruit is the forbidden one. So if you're constantly telling yourself, no, I can't use this app, no, I can't go on this media website, no, I can't, no, I can't, no, I can't. And then come Ramadan afterwards, everything just, falls apart. So instead, look at your social media for good. Use it as a source of hasanat. Use it as an opportunity for goodness, subhanAllah. I'll give you an example of this. SubhanAllah, you don't have to go hardcore if you're not really sharing a lot of big things or, you're not used to sharing Islamic reminders. You don't have to. Watch this. For me, I'm a communication coach. This is what I do for a living, mashallah, helping out Muslims with their communication skills. And one of the things I put forth all the time is something called the PrEP formula. When someone asks you a question, you don't know how to answer it, use the PrEP formula. Point, reason, example, point. And subhanAllah, one day I posted that on my LinkedIn. The same day, a brother, he messaged me. And he told me, he said, MashaAllah, Brother Muhammad, I got to tell you, your post saved my life. What? He said that on that same day, he was on CP24. If for those who aren't aware, CP24 is like one of the biggest news stations in Toronto. He said he was being interviewed on CP24. Just so happened that he saw the PrEP formula, the point, reason, example, point. And mashallah, he said his interview went smoothly. Why am I saying this? Why am I sharing this with you? If you start to look at your social media as a force of good, as a source of good, as an opportunity for hasanat, subhanAllah, you are going to be in a world of goodness. So why not use it as a tool for good in Ramadan? So using the same social media habits, let's work towards that. In addition, another trap that we might fall into, and it's not your fault, but another trap that we might fall into is not getting enough sleep. Not getting enough sleep during Ramadan. But wait a second. Isn't Ramadan all about praying tahajjud and praying taraweeh and just plowing through the night? Ideally, that's nice. However, reality sets in for a lot of us. Some people have 3 jobs. Some people are providing for their families. Some people are the only breadwinners. You only have one body. It's going to shut down. If you're not taking the time to sleep and replenish, it's going to be a problem. And so, what's one solution how we can fix this? Is taking power naps. Taking power naps. Now, I just want to have a caveat here for this conversation because sometimes we may not get enough sleep during Ramadan, and then you swing the pendulum the other way where people get way too much sleep. I know, subhanAllah, there was this one brother who slept at Dhuhr and he woke up at Maghrib. Like, this is the whole day, subhanAllah, just continuous, like completely missing the point of fasting. Now, that's another situation, and everyone has their own and has their own way. However, if let's just say you're becoming sleep deprived, we're living in the, what do they say? New York City, the Big Apple is a city that never sleeps. Am I right? You heard of this before. SubhanAllah. But if you look at Mecca, SubhanAllah, it is truly the city that never sleeps. And in Ramadan, we're like, it's not shocking to get a text message from a brother or a sister. Again, sister to sister, let's be clear. Like, it's not shocking for that text to show up at 3 a.m., 4 a.m. It's like nothing, like whatever. You know that you're awake. But the point is that if you feel like your body's breaking down, don't overload yourself. Don't break down. You only have one body. You only have one body, so make the most of it and take good care of it. Now, this next trap is specific for the sisters. This one's for you, sis. This is for the sisters out there. And just to speak in code, I'm sure you can fill in the blank here. Sometimes one common trap that a lot of sisters make is that when they're on their, you could say, their ladies' days, they might feel like they're missing out on Ramadan. I hear this a lot. They say, oh, Ramadan is, we are missing out on so many things because of that situation. But the fact of the matter is, no. There are plenty of things you can do, right? What are some things? You can listen to the Quran as recitation. You can make dua. You can reconnect with family and friends. There's so many possibilities out there for Ramadan. Don't look at it as an opportunity. Don't look at it as a hindrance. It's a mercy from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And so one way how our sisters can reconnect and really get the full benefit of Ramadan is by knowing that subhanAllah, there are plenty of things you can do. Plenty of things that you can do. This next example or this next mistake, oh my goodness. SubhanAllah, this is something else. May Allah help us all, and including myself in this conversation. What one common trap that a lot of our brothers and sisters face and fall into is while they're fasting, they're swearing, not using the best language, lying, backbiting, gossiping, you know it, the whole 9 yards. And subhanAllah, allow me to share with you a hadith from Prophet Muhammad Sahih Bukhari 1903. Rasulullah taught us and says this very open, plain and clear, plain and simple, loud and clear, that whoever does not leave evil words, let me say that again, whoever does not leave evil words and deeds while fasting, Allah does not need him to leave their food and drink. Allah does not need your fasting if you're not going to leave your evil words and deeds. It's a diet plan for many of us. It's just a way to lose weight. Allah, but if the foul mouth, if all this stuff, and subhanAllah, just as a side note, where is this? Ask yourself, where is this coming from? How is it befitting of a Muslim? And I'm including myself in this conversation. Again, I'm no exception here. How is it possible? How is it possible that a Muslim who says La ilaha illallah, Muhammad Rasulullah, how is it possible that they utter such disgusting words? How are you going to make the angels, the most noblest of creation, to write down and record so and so said this disgusting word? And some might say, well, that's the way I express myself. That's the way I got to express myself. Yeah, I need pick up a thesaurus. Pick up a thesaurus, you know what I mean? I'll give you one example of this, subhanAllah. You ever heard of the man by the name of Malcolm X? Malcolm X, historical American figure. You think, you know, if you read his autobiography, read his book, and you'll find, I may be misquoting, I stand corrected at any point. Let me know in the comments even. At one point, before he really changed who he was, he said his vocabulary was about 200 to 300 words. That's all he knew. He only knew about 200 to 300 words. And subhanAllah, he ended up memorizing the whole dictionary. Cover to cover. You tell me that the language is not limited, subhanAllah. How do you tell someone like that? He's like, because the more words you know, the more precise your thoughts are. The more precise your thoughts are, the better you can express yourself, subhanAllah. So Allah does not need someone to leave their food and drink if they're swearing. And I have a quick story actually before I move on to this. A few years ago, alhamdulillah, I was very fortunate, and may Allah help us all. If you haven't had the opportunity, may Allah give you the opportunity to visit the haram, to go for Umrah or Hajj. So alhamdulillah, a number of years ago, I was with my family. We went for Umrah and we were in the haram, best place ever. We were praying Salatul Fajr. Oh, you talk about peace and serenity. Nothing like it. Truly, nothing like it. You listen, like, you know, the dawn and the day, and, you know, it's Ramadan too. I wish the story had a happy ending. I'm walking back with my family. We're on our way back to the hotel. Lo and behold, right after Fajr, in the haram, best place on earth, during Ramadan, mashallah, I had two brothers right in front of me get into a big fist fight and argument. They're swearing in Arabic. MashaAllah, mabruk, congratulations with that. You know, this is perfectly embodying what this ayah is saying. May Allah help us all. We all slip up. But don't forget, you know, where is this coming from? You are the sum of the 5 friends you hang out with. Ask yourself, what do you watch? What do I watch? Who do you hang out with? What do they say? If it's problematic, yani, your best friend will be the thesaurus. Let me tell you. Pick it up, you know, and you'll see all their words exist. So may Allah help us all to remove that aspect. Now, a couple more here. One other trap that a lot of people run into is missing the dua before breaking the fast. Watch, it's Ramadan. Imagine, fast forward, it's Ramadan. You're looking at your plate of food. You're looking at the dates. Your mouth is salivating. Your hands are rubbed together, getting ready to chow down. And you're just waiting for that. Allahu Akbar. You're just waiting for that. Waiting for it. Waiting. But you didn't break your fast with making a dua. Rasulullah mentioned how it's a great opportunity to get your duas answered. This is an opportunity. So take a time. So how do you fix this? Well, one way you can do this from now, prepare a list of du'as that you want to say. It doesn't just have to be Arabic. You do the best that you can. Make sincere du'as. Best, of course, you know, to remember the du'a that Rasulullah taught us. Maybe some own personal du'a that you have. I mean, think about it. What are some common situations people have? People have health problems. People have money problems. People have family problems. People have problems. How can you alleviate the problems? Well, you go to the problem solver. Who is the problem solver? Allah. And so if we don't ask, we don't make dua, then how are we expected to improve our situation? Think of it like this. Think of making that list of dua like a grocery list. Before you go grocery shopping, what do? I mean, for many of us, they may pick out some foods that they might have on the list. So that you say, okay, I'm going to get some eggs, I'm going to get some milk, I'm going to get some cream, I'm going to get some of this and that. You have it listed down. Why? So you don't forget. Not you go in the car, you drive halfway home. Oh, I forgot the salt. It happens, no? So similarly, when it comes to dua, treat it like a grocery list. How are you going to plan it out? Allah, you know very well what my situation is. I want to humble myself in the best time before breaking the fast. So this is another idea. Breaking the fast, making the dua before you break the fast. And the last part here, the last trap, you could say, I wanted to share with you all is a big one. It's that during Ramadan, one common mistake is judging others, judging other people, judging our fellow brothers and sisters. You know, Ramadan's not a competition to see how you can outdo one another. It's a competition with yourself, first and foremost. But yet, you have people, for example, treating this month of forgiveness as a month of judgment. For example, you may or may not have heard this phrase tossed around. You ever heard of someone being called a Ramadan Muslim? You ever heard this before? Ever? You heard it? Yeah, I see some nodding heads. Yeah, you heard about that. You're a Ramadan Muslim. What does that mean? That means, mashallah, from the day of Ramadan to the end of Ramadan, we see you in the masjid, you're praying. But then as soon as Eid hits, see you next year. What is this, man? Like, subhanAllah, who gave the license for you and I to start pointing the finger and calling people Ramadan Muslims? Who gave us that license? Now, let me be mindful here in saying that if we see something wrong, Rasul Sallallahu mentioned, be like that mirror, reflect it, mention it. There's a way. We call a spade a spade. You see me doing something wrong, mention it. I see someone wrong, okay, at the appropriate time, mention it, sure. But if you just simply cast that look, I gotta tell you, as a side note, when I mention looks, this is a problem more I notice for sisters and brothers. And I'm just saying this from experience. I remember one time I was in a school, and subhanAllah, there's some sisters, they come to me and they're saying, oh, I feel bad. Okay, what's wrong? What's the problem? SubhanAllah, you wonder what's happening. You know what she told me? A student, sister, she's like, she looked at me wrong. She looked at me in that way. I was like, you know what I mean? She looked at me a certain way. Sisters, I can imagine you can attest to this. They say if looks could kill, yeah, it's a big deal. It's like it burns right through the skull, like that look, like laser eyes. SubhanAllah, I don't know what it is. I really don't. But that judgmental look is enough, even for sisters, to not come to the masjid. You know how many times I heard people saying, I refuse to come to this masjid because of the way they treated. They're looking at her hijab isn't 100%. Khair, man, may Allah help us all. Like at the end, we all try to encourage our brothers and sisters to attain the best possible. We want to reach the ideal. But scaring people away, not helping them, calling them Ramadan Muslims. I mean, seriously, is this going to help us or hurt us? And so at the end of the day, subhanAllah, one thing as Muslims, subhanAllah, this is another tangent, mashallah, as another side. You might find that there are some people, what's it called? It's almost like a reverse formula. Sometimes you might find some people have this idea that the more religious you are, the more judgmental you be. The more religious you are, the nastier you become. And this image has been painted a lot. They're saying, subhanAllah, Rasulullah in the Quran, doesn't it mention, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala mentions that if you were harsh with the people, He's rahmah, like Rasulullah is meant to be a mercy for all of us. If He was harsh with the people, they would run away. Who wants to hang out with somebody who's harsh? You see what I'm saying? So at the end of the day, for us as Muslims here in Ramadan, we won't want to be the reason people run away from the masjid. We want to be the reason that people are attracted to the masjid. We want to be the reason why people come back. You know, subhanallah, it's amazing to see subhanallah I'm getting some comments down here. Huh? So, yeah. What's up? I'm good. Is this a khutbah? No, it's not a khutbah. It's a halaqah. Yeah. So, I guess people that are getting the idea. It's all good, mashallah. And I gotta tell you, subhanallah. So, does that make sense, everyone? Right? At the end of the day, when it comes to these traps, these mistakes, I'm including, again, I reiterate, I include myself in this conversation. Nobody is perfect, but at the end of the day, we can strive to improve ourselves because, as they say, the smart person learns from their own mistakes, but the wise person learns from other people's mistakes. And so if we take this opportunity to learn the mistakes, then may Allah help us all, inshallah khair. So, alhamdulillah, I know it's a snowstorm and I realize right now things are a little tight on schedule, this, that, and the other. So just curious to open the floor. If anyone has any additional thoughts, mashallah, I know Brother Taha and the missus are here. So if you have any other comment, maybe I didn't cover anything, let me know in the comments or here. Is there any Ramadan mistake that I missed that, is a warning for all of us to be aware of? Mhm. Yeah, what's up? Yeah. Oh, mashallah, very nice. Thank you, Sister and Brother Taha. So the idea is like this is a suggestion. Like if let's just say it's time to break your fast, you're right, mashallah, to not just break the fast, like anytime when it comes to certain du'as, have it printed out, ready to go. It's like in front of you, so you're not trying to guess, oh, what am I supposed to say? Like you prepare it beforehand, as they say, an ounce of prevention is better than a pound. Well, that's actually not the right way. Here's another way to put it. If you fail to plan, then you plan to fail. If you don't have a plan for Ramadan, then guess what? You're going to be winging it the whole time. Let me figure it out. Let me see what's out there. Oh, what dua? I wonder what. Yani make the preparation beforehand. Before you have an exam coming up, what do? Just show up and Bismillah, have my pen and paper, and just yalla, let's wing it. No, you practice, you prepare, you know what's happening. So similarly, thank you for the idea. Print it out, have it ready to go. Open up like a little mini booklet. Why not? It's your own personal du'as. Inshallah, you'll get your ticket to Jannah. Inshallah, may Allah reunite us all in Jannatul Firdaus. Now, in addition to that, can I one-up you a little bit with this? Because I've seen another way is what I found to be personally helpful is to, yeah, good? Or no, okay. Is you can even print, like for example, there's du'as before you enter the washroom and when you leave the washroom, or when you exit the house and you enter the house. Print it, put it on the door so you see it. So anytime, or maybe there's a dua before you travel, right, in your car. Print it, stick it on the dashboard. So have it in your face, you know what I mean? Yeah? Oh, okay, eating too much, right? That's enough. Oh, okay. I thought that was obvious, but Masha, you brought it to my attention. So the common mistake is where you overload your stomach, your poor stomach, man. May Allah help us all. You kind of treat your stomach like it's a bag and you're just filling it up as much as you can, right? Overeating. Oh, I got a quick story about this. SubhanAllah, it was Taraweeh. It's Taraweeh. It was Ramadan. guess what? You have a feast. Glorious. Man, after a long day of fasting, you could eat a horse, as they say. And so you stuff yourself and you're like, okay, this let me eat some of this. And there's a French fry over here. Man, a couple of chips wouldn't hurt. And let's dip that in this. And mashallah, your stomach keeps going. Yani, I couldn't even finish Tarawih. Like subhanAllah, I couldn't. You know what I mean? Like you almost pass out halfway through because you can't. So great idea. Like, subhanAllah, your body it's limited. Yeah, treat it as Rasulullah mentioned as well. That reminds me, Prophet Muhammad he mentioned that your stomach, you cut it up into 3 parts. 1/3 for your food, 1/3 for water, 1/3 for air. Rasulullah didn't say stuff it 100% with biryani. You know what I mean? So that's the idea. But yeah, thank you very much. Don't overeat. The whole point of Ramadan is not to overeat. But khair. It is what it is. Amazing. Any other mistakes, common mistakes that people make? Just curious as we continue. Or any suggestions, any ideas, something that you found to be helpful, just like the suggestion of the du'as. Let's see. I'll give you oh yeah. SubhanAllah, that reminds me as well. So prior to this, there was a conversation with a brother. He was saying, oh man. I'm telling you, sometimes the most obvious things aren't so obvious. Where he said that a lot of us, brothers and sisters, we fast from the halal, but we don't fast from the haram, basically. Yeah, if there's something that's already forbidden, clear cut, I'm not a sheikh, so I'm not here to issue fatwas, this and that. I have no authority on that. But things that are clear cut and haram. All right, you clear cut, forbidden, like no debate, no ifs, ands, or buts. There's no such thing as halal beef, or halal pork. You know what I mean? I've heard that. Somebody stick a halal symbol on it. Yeah, a pig is a pig, right? No matter you put a lipstick on a pig, it's still a pig. So anyway, so the point is that you have a lot of Muslims. They're very good at making sure I don't eat and drink. Fine, you're abstaining from that, like the good stuff, but then you continue on the problematic stuff, the things that we might watch, the interactions we might have, the backbiting, the gossiping. Oh my goodness, don't even get me started about gossip. Don't even get me started about gossip. You know how many marriages fall apart because of this? You know how many families get broken apart because of gossip? I remember one time it just showed up. One brother, he told me, he said he knows someone, this is one lady, may Allah help us all. She got divorced. You know what her life mission is now? To make as many other couples divorce as possible. She goes around purposely causing doubt and seeds and stuff, like to break up as many marriages as possible. That's her mission. Why, man? Why are we doing this to ourselves? Why? Ramadan is meant to be a giant reset button. When COVID-19, even when I say it, and get some shivers. When the pandemic hit, one of the common terms that they used to describe it was the Great Reset. It was an opportunity to reset our life, our priorities. Many people lost their jobs. Many people switched jobs. Many people reinvented themselves. Many people reevaluated their priorities in life. You have that person who goes 9 to 5 or that keeps working and doesn't spend time with their kids. Finally, they're stuck and confined in their home, realizing that whole thing. And at the same time, you have some families that are together and they're stuck 24 hours and they realize it exposes the cracks in their relationship and it doesn't work. But the point is that was the pandemic. Think of Ramadan as like the Great Reset. It's a way to recalibrate ourselves. Allah is giving us one glorious month. Allah is giving us one glorious month out of 12 months, the best month ever, to have a clean slate. You could be bad or messed up, or you may not be proud of yourselves for the last 11 months, but Allah is giving us a chance, you and me, a chance to make it all right. to hit that reset button. Our bodies are resetting. Our minds are resetting. Our souls are resetting. And inshallah, if we look at Ramadan as that giant reset button, inshallah, we'll be in good shape, bi'idhnillah. Any other things? Any other? Looks like you got your, I don't know, your hand looks like half and half. No? It's all good. Any suggestions, any comments, any conversation? That's what we're here for. I know, mashallah, we're cozy over here. I don't know how bad it is outside, but either way, we'll be stuck here. We might as well make the most of it. Huh? So let's see. Any other last minute suggestions or mistakes, perhaps, that traps that people might, yeah? Man. If not, I'll conclude with one last thought, inshallah. Man. All right, here we go. For those of you online as well, if you're here, leave some comments, Let your presence be known. This is one thing. I have a bone to pick with people like this, and that would always, on the sidelines. That's another conversation. If we're not visible, we're going to be invisible, right? May Allah help us all. Let me end off this whole conversation with, oh, hello. This person name's Word. Okay, hello. Hi. How are you doing? Good to see you. All right, so allow me to end off a way to look at Ramadan in a way perhaps you haven't heard before. I alluded to this before about the marathon. You hear Ramadan. How many of you, show of hands, how many of you have heard of the analogy of Ramadan as being a marathon race? You ever heard this? You heard of this? Yeah, you heard, yeah? Just now as well, subhanAllah. So if not, then there's that. Here's another way, one more way to look at Ramadan. Here's one more way to look at Ramadan. Imagine you're in your car, all right? And depending on, let's say right now we're here in Sayyidah Khadija Center. Think of your commute here. For some, it may take half an hour. For some, it may take 1 hour. For some, you have to go through a lot of traffic lights. And for some, maybe on the highway, it's rough and tough. So think of that. Put that number in your mind. You're driving all the way over here to Sayyidah Khadija Center. Imagine for a moment now that there was a new lane opened up just for you. Exclusive access. Nobody else can enter that lane except you. You are welcome to put the pedal to the metal. You are welcome to go through. Doesn't matter. Even if you go 200 kilometers, no problem. Like no traffic laws are against you. Everything is just straight ahead from here to wherever you normally would commute from. That is Ramadan. Ramadan is your fast lane. Ramadan is the fast track to whatever goals you want to accomplish, whatever things that you desire, whatever goals that you've set for yourself. You see, subhanAllah, when you think about it, if you pick just one goal, Allah will open all these, inshallah, Allah will open all these doors for you to accelerate that progress. Maybe your Quran isn't the greatest. I know I can say that for myself. It's not the greatest. Allah, if that's your intention, it's going to be accelerated. Maybe, just maybe, your prayer isn't the greatest. All right? And I'm including myself in this conversation too. Let's focus on that to accelerate it. You get what you put in. You know what I mean? You get what you put in. So when you put in that effort, you put in that goal, you put in that sincere effort, Allah will speed run through it. Some people feel like it's tough to learn Arabic. Some people feel like it's tough to memorize the Quran. Some people feel like it's tough to rekindle family relationships. Some people feel like their health is in jeopardy. No matter what your personal goal is, if you make the sincere intention to Allah, you do your best and you leave the rest to Allah, you will see that Ramadan is going to be your fast track to success. You will see that Ramadan is going to be that acceleration lane. that goal that you've always wanted to achieve, that dream that you've always wanted to accomplish. Maybe things will be different this time. Maybe things will be different this time. But it all starts with you. It all starts with you. What is your one goal? Just one. Don't go 100 or 20. One goal. What's one goal that you're hoping to accomplish? And inshallah, Allah will open doors for you to achieve that goal. For an example, for me, the goal that I set for myself this Ramadan is to read the clear Quran from cover to cover. And if you're not familiar with the clear Quran, it's the English translation made by Dr. Mustafa Khattab. And if you're here, Dr. Mustafa, mashallah, we love you and we miss you here in Mississauga. We miss you here, Sayyidah Khadija Center. Shout out to him. If you haven't heard about the clear Quran, it's available for adults. And there's even a kids version too with illustrations to get them excited. That's my goal. Maybe you have a different goal. Maybe you might be thinking, I'll pray Taraweeh all 30 days. Why not? Maybe your goal is, I want to donate X amount of money. I don't know how I'm going to raise this money, but I'm going to do it. You find that goal that's meant for you, and inshallah, Allah will open doors to that success. So, Jazakumullah khairan, everybody. Really appreciate you taking the time out, especially on this snowy day. It's nice and cozy over here. And for those of you tuning in online, really, really grateful for your presence as well. We ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to be among those who maximize Ramadan in the best way possible, to avoid the mistakes and to learn from the traps that are set out for us. And may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala make us among those who are proud this Ramadan, because we're on this acceleration lane together. And inshallah, who knows what the future holds in store. Barakallahu feekum, jazakumullahu khairan, assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.